Well, I've continued things over to a 10th day here, and it's really just tiny little things, that's all. And it's very close to completion, but as long as you keep finding those little things, it's not really done. Especially in through here, again, I'm trying to think of that Monet video where you just kind of glance at it. Don't stare at it too long, or else your eyes start to adjust too much to that particular area. So by just looking quickly, you don't really allow the eyes a chance to kind of adjust in terms of contrast to that particular area. You, as much as possible, you're looking at the whole scene. And working in this area down here, an area that's dark in the shadows. I'm still kind of keeping in mind the fact that they might possibly be warm in color with that overall idea of like cool light source and warm shadows. So like this area of the beard where it gets really dark, it might have a little bit of a warm. I might use a little bit of alizarin. Well, pretty much it's at the end. I always find it really hard at the end to sort of let go. You keep it almost becomes irrational at the end. You start to imagine you're seeing all kinds of things. And I go through it every time. I don't know if you've had this problem, but and then you see the painting a month later and you don't even remember what it is that was bothering you at the end. Um, but at this point, I'm just pretty much making the tiniest little changes. I mean, really nothing. So well, it's an 11th day here, and again, just finishing the painting. I got all set up, and I wasn't sure if I had anything else to do on the painting, but I was happy to find that there's still a few little things. The more I looked at it in the mirror over here, I started to see just a couple of things, like a couple subtle things, details. So again, until those things run out, you really aren't finished. I was rereading, if you want a fascinating read, that Frank Benson, Frank W. Benson, who was one of an artist of the Boston School. There's some great quotes by him in this. I'll put the link to it in the description. But one of the things he talks about is to always be trying to paint flat, basically. Never try to render anything. And I was just rereading it. It's really fascinating. But if you like his work, it's worth listening to him. But he talks a lot about that. He felt like people were overly rendering things. But his work is beautiful. This is what I'm talking about. Frank Benson's advice to the artists. Looks like Mary Minifee and Paul Ingebrigtsen assembled it all together and added some images of Frank Benson's work, which you see there. It was originally advice given to his daughter, it looks like, Frank Benson's daughter, but has all kinds of quotes in it. But one of them, I always come back to this at the top here. The important thing in painting is to keep everything as flat as possible. Your tendency is to model surfaces too much because you're looking for effects of light and shade. Especially keep flat the less important parts of a picture. Don't blend and soften too much. When an edge cuts sharply, make it sharp with a flat value against a contrasting background. He talks about not describing things. But he mentions it again and again, and it's a rather long, there's a lot of great advice throughout the piece. So anyway, kind of thinking about that this morning. I want to work on more detail, but still want to keep things flat. Still obsessing over this transition and through this part of the forehead. It's very subtle.